Hi everyone. So today again we are on a Sunday and 8:30 p.m. almost, and we'll be joining live today by with Sur. Sur describes himself as a groovy something Punjabi R&B. So I'm sorry I can't remember it, but it was quite catchy on his Insta profile. So, hi there. Hi, Aries DRDZ. Hi, Neeraj. Hi, Ritik. Hi, Mega. Thank you for joining. And he will be joining live with us at 8:30, and we will have him, come live with us as soon as he's visible. Sorry for my bad throat. Basically, I'm recovering from COVID, and hence the voice is slightly there about. Good evening, Sabrina, and yeah. So things are going fine. We are quite happy to understand how things are going with music culture and the kind of response we get from everybody around. As I committed last time, we are still working on the good evening Mega. We are still working on the brand value index to be completed for quarter 2 2020-21, and I think it should be available pretty soon. We have added a few parameters to that, so that it becomes a little more comprehensive. Hi Aniket. So that's that. It's 8:30, and I think Sur should be joining any moment now, and it'll be interesting to understand what he's doing, what he has done in the past, and how he has been. Hi Menace. So about time. I think any point of time, any moment, he should be available now, and we will have a fun ride with him. Priya, I'm so sorry we can't take you on the live video right now because this session is scheduled with Sur, and he should be joining any moment. You can of course send us your question. We will have Sur answer them for you, 100%. Who is coming? It's Sur, S-U-R. His Instagram handle is I am Sur, IAMSUR. He's a phenomenal musician based out of India and UK. Hi, so Sur has just appeared. I'll send him an invite. So yeah, hi Sneha, how are you?
Hey man, I'm good. How are you? Can we see and hear each other okay?
I can see you. Can you see me?
Yeah, perfectly. Very clean, very clear.
Very clear. Where are you right now?
Yeah. I'm in Delhi at the moment, Palam Bihar actually. I'm staying with my mother and father-in-law and my wife for a couple of weeks. We are planning to move back to the UK at some point in the next few days, but given the global situation, there's no solid date or understanding on when exactly we can get back there. So it's a limbo phase at the moment.
Are the flights still operational for UK? I'm just asking. I don't know.
Yeah, they are operational, but I think in the next few weeks, people back home are telling me that India is going to become one of the red listed countries for the UK. To be honest, that's not the problem to me. Our issue is that we have 3 dogs who we can't live without. And the problem is trying to get them back to the UK with us as well. So that's where the issue really is right now.
Okay.
And
Complicated.
yeah, very complicated. Sorry for my ignorance, but you guys are based in Bombay, right?
Uh, we are based in Bombay and Delhi both, technically.
Okay.
So I am right now in Delhi as we speak.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's good.
We are chatting just around the corner, right somewhere.
Yeah, we're neighbors.
Yeah, correct. Anyway, so before we start about talking more things in details, I mean, a lot of us would want to know you more, including me. You know, we
Okay.
have heard we have heard of your song Asar. We have heard that you're working on more projects as we talk, and
Hmm.
but we need to know more about Sur, what Sur is, who Sur is, and what have you been doing so far?
Okay. So, firstly, to be very honest, I'd like to say thanks to you guys first for actually arranging this call. And hello to everybody that's joined in and whoever will be joining later. Hi, guys. I am Sur. To dispel the myth, my real name is not actually Sur. My last name is Suri, spelled Suri. And when I moved to India back in 2015, people started calling me Sur because I'm a singer and because it was an abbreviation of my last name. So it just stuck. But my entire life, I kind of knew that I was always going to be doing something in music. I had that typical story of going head to head with my dad while he was an immigrant in the UK. He left Punjab and had to spend a few months in Europe working in factories and doing all kinds of labor work, and eventually managed to get to the UK where his older brother was staying. And over the next 20, 30 years, he worked his fingers to the bone to create his own empire. Because of his hard work, I, as his son, had opportunities that he didn't have. I was able to explore my creativity and my music. I was able to explore cinematography and photography because my family business is that of photography and filmmaking. But we went head to head when I was at university, and he was hoping that I was going to continue my degree and become a doctor and make the family proud. And instead, I became a musician and possibly made some of them ashamed of me. But the truth is, I've actually had a really, really supportive family, a massive network of people that always pushed me in the direction of music. So when I was about 18 years old, I was playing in a progressive rock band. We were a three-piece band called Killer Yogi. It was myself and two of my best friends from school, and we just made a lot of noise. Like, it was really loud, really aggressive, really headbanger music. And we happened to enter a competition which got us onto TV on the BBC. And that competition caught the attention of a music producer in London who goes by the name DJ Swami. So he reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested to record a few tracks. And as an 18-year-old, I was interested to get into a real studio and see what can happen. It was only when I got to the studio I realized just what a big deal that band was. They were just releasing a song called Desi Rock, which was massive in the Europe and the UK. And because of that song, featuring in certain movies in Hollywood and in certain I think there were FIFA games or UEFA games. I joined the band instantly, and I got the chance to travel the world as an 18-year-old, belting out these Punjabi vocals everywhere. And I wasn't used to singing in Punjabi. I was, used to singing in only in English, imitating Michael Jackson all the time. But suddenly I get this chance, to sing in my mother tongue and to take this song around the world. And from that point on, I knew that it was going to be music for me forever. I knew that I could never go back into any normal job.
Good that you have not decided to go back. I mean, it's fortunate for everybody. It's a nice thing that you took a plunge into. So you
Yeah.
started with extremely extreme metal, heavy metal, right? Isn't it?
I mean, yeah, it wasn't exactly heavy metal, but it was a branch of that. It was a little bit more emotional and more melodic than heavy metal. But what I enjoyed about it, and what I think our small circle of fans enjoyed about it at that time, was that because we were so young, we were teenagers, and we didn't have much exposure to the industry. We were really fearless in terms of the music that we were making.
Yeah.
So when we were writing songs, we weren't thinking about formulas, intros, hooks, choruses. We weren't thinking about genres. We weren't considering what a record label would like. It was very fiercely, this is us, and if you don't like it, you can get lost. And we probably made our fan base smaller by doing that, but the fan base that we had were really connected and very diehard. And I didn't realize I was doing this at the time. In fact, not I, but we, because the bass player in the band was a British Pakistani guy. We didn't realize that some of the music that we had grown up listening to from Bollywood and from Qawwali and things like that was very subtly finding its way into our metal sound. Not intentionally, but if you're on stage and you're jamming something and suddenly you just felt like throwing out this big Sufi alap over this heavy metal riff, we were doing things like that, and we didn't realize that that was the thing that people were liking about us. We were just doing what felt good. So, you know, that was the situation. It started with metal, but much before metal, much before I was doing any of this stuff, I think from about the age of 4 or 5, my parents, they used to encourage me to sing in satsang. So I would go to these spiritual congregations and I would sing hymns as such, mostly in English, but occasionally I would venture into Punjabi or Hindi. And like I said, the unique situation of the family, you know, having a father who was an immigrant from Punjab who had gone to Europe and then come to England, my mother who was born in the UK in 1964, but there was, you know, ripe racism in those days, and as a young child in the 60s, she knew that she was different and that she wasn't from the land. There was a lot of cultural confusion for them, which, without realizing, that passed on to us. So I grew up singing at satsang, wanting to be like Michael Jackson, but feeling as comfortable dancing and singing to an MJ track as I did to a Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Qawwali. Or, you know, my dad would be playing his Bollywood or ghazals, and all of that stuff felt familiar to me. And I think I was very, very lucky in that sense that, number one, the community that we lived in was a very, very mixed community. There were, you know, white kids, black kids, Indian kids, kids from everywhere. And we all sort of like joined together and shared our culture with one another without realizing that we were doing that. We were just innocent kids. You know, we were just sharing each other's music, and somehow all of that stuff just became a part of my identity. And I found that you know, like you asked me about the whole heavy metal thing, that actually came much later in life. That as my Michael Jackson phase was starting to simmer down, some of my older cousins were getting into bands like Nirvana, or they were listening to Tupac, and suddenly all this new music that I'd never heard before was now you know, flowing in my direction. Now I wanted to mess with all of it, which is how that band sort of started with Killer Yogi.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I think there are always these phases of music, you know, kind of music that you go through, and you learn one at a time, or you get exposed to one at a time, and that's what builds you as a musician as well, or generally also as your liking towards music in general as well for people. So from, let's say, a Michael Jackson to a heavy metal to an R&B is where you have, you know, progressed. So how did R&B come into your life?
So my mom was a really big fan of reggae. We were kids, and she'd be, you know, you'd hear her walking around the house like, oh, na, 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 yeah. You'd like hear these like cool melodies going on everywhere. And I have a lot to be thankful to my mom for that. But like I said, I grew up in a part of the UK. Wolverhampton was my first few years, which is just next to Birmingham. I lived in a really mixed community, and Michael Jackson is not very far off from R&B. Like, he incorporated R&B in you know, phases of his music. But on both sides of my family, like my dad's side and my mom's side, you know, there were fans of Whitney Houston, there were fans of James Brown, there were fans of all this really rich, really like raw music, and all of those forms of music eventually inspired what we now know to be R&B. And I think it was a mix of things. Partly it was family. I also went to school in Birmingham in my secondary school, and there I was suddenly exposed to so many more children than I was when I was at my infant or junior school. And in those days, you know, music wasn't available on your phone. It was a big deal if you brought a CD to school. You know, like having that physical copy of music in your hand, it held so much weight to it. So now you're hanging out with friends who, some of them are really into their hip hop, others are really into their metal, and or whatever these genres might be. But there were a lot of people that were listening to music that drew inspiration from R&B. And luckily for me, those people ended up being my close circle and my friends. So just by hanging out with these people, I would get exposed to R&B. But R&B is it's a type of music that, for me, R&B is hip hop's sensual cousin. You know, you've got hip hop, which is very beat based and very bassy and, you know, can be quite aggressive, but R&B is like the pervy, sexy cousin of that genre of music. And I know that I'm not like a macho person. As much as I love my hip hop, I'm not a hip hop head. Like I can produce hip hop music, but I don't think my rapping is very convincing. But something about R&B, the fact that it was so rhythmic, so melodic, that it draws upon the blues, it draws upon jazz in places. It's just really rich music, and in the top class of R&B, lyrically, vocally, you know, you really have the top dogs that make the best R&B music. Even neo soul, which is like your more organic version of R&B, where you have artists like Erykah Badu, or you know, Daniel Caesar, who's a recent artist who I'm just obsessed with. You've got men that are singing like women, and they're doing it absolutely beautifully and perfectly. You've got women who are singing lyrics that are so honest and so real, but so poetic at the same time. There's just something about that form of music that just really pulls me towards it. And I think there's an overlap there, because a lot of Punjabi music and a lot of Hindi music, while it may sound different, it ticks many of those boxes, that it's extremely soulful, it's very raw, it's very honest in the lyrical content. So for me, I found like the overlaps in those spaces.
So, I mean, that's amazing how passionately you talk about R&B. Trust me, I mean, it was quite visible, and it's quite awesome to see that. And so, quick one: how long you have been active in UK? Over how many years that you have been working in the music industry so far?
So I was born in the UK. Like I said, I started doing music for my own joy from the age of sort of 4 and 5, going to satsang and singing. My public career started when we started having these get-togethers at weddings, and my parents would push me in the middle of the dance floor and tell the DJ to play a Michael Jackson song. And I was the fat kid that would start dancing to Michael Jackson and copying the moves. And almost every time there was a circle around me, because it's a small child doing this. And Punjabi parents being Punjabi parents, it then became an expectation that every wedding we went to, my dad would start playing Michael Jackson in the car and gearing me up and saying, you know, make sure you're ready. People are going to be watching, and, you know, putting real pressure in my head in that sense. But honestly, I loved it. But professionally speaking, I think I started when I was 18, when I joined Swami. When I joined this band after this BBC competition. I was playing in bands locally for a couple of years before that, and we did a few recordings and things like this, but I didn't really get exposure to the real world of the music business and the music industry until I was about 18. And I was very young and very naive at that time, so I was just really fortunate to be in that position, and sometimes didn't realize when I wasn't making a good choice, or may not have realized when potentially advantage was being taken of me. But I don't regret anything, because those experiences, exactly. I mean, those experiences, to this day, I still draw back on those experiences and take things out of it. So while I do wish I had a time machine, I could go back and save myself from a few things. At the same time, I'm gonna just, you know, it happened as it happened, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, it happens. It happens in every industry, every place. That's what's called experience, I guess.
Yeah.
And fair enough. So when did you when did you decide that you also want to expose yourself, or you want an exposure in the music industry in India? When did that happen? But when did you start taking it seriously, the Indian music industry part of it?
So, as I mentioned, like growing up with a sort of mixed background of being from a Punjabi heritage but born in the UK, there was always an openness to all that music to me. And I'd had the experience of singing a little bit in Punjabi here and there when I would go to these satsangs and these congregations, but I never, I honestly never believed that I would go to India to make music. What actually happened was in 2005, I joined the band Swami, and in the first year that I was with them, I went from playing in small pubs with my own band to playing like sold out festivals with Swami. And suddenly we're no longer just playing in small parts of England, we're now going to Europe. And then I'm getting a phone call saying, bro, be free for a week, we're going to Canada to tour, Canada. And then suddenly we got the chance to play the MTV Awards in Mumbai in 2005. And at that point, I mean, I wouldn't say there was pressure on my mind, but there was this feeling of, okay, like I'm singing in Punjabi and I'm singing in Hindi, but I'm doing it to audiences who are not in India. If I sing in Germany and I get a few of the lyrics wrong, no one's going to know, nobody's going to mind. But once I realized that we're going to the MTV Awards in Mumbai, and there are going to be some incredible people from the industry just sitting in the audience. Kailash Kher was also sharing the stage with us, and
Wow.
at that time, I had no idea who he was because I wasn't too exposed to the modern industry. I remember just watching from the side of the stage as he got up and started singing, and I think all of like the blood just left my body. I was just like, what is this power behind this voice? This, you know, relatively small man in stature with this giant voice
Yeah.
just completely took over the stage. And I think when I was there, I realized that I hadn't been to India for about 10 years by that point. It had been 10 years gap since I'd visited India. And when we got on the plane to come back home to the UK, I was having a really like emotional moment with myself, writing in a journal how proud I was to go back to India and how wonderful it was to sing. Like, but then I realized that, damn man, like as much as I enjoy singing in English and doing all this like, you know, rock stuff that I was doing, I'd really been bitten by the bug of Indian music. You know, I knew that after this point, I want to take singing in those languages more seriously. I want to spend longer sitting with my parents and breaking down each syllable and understanding what each word means that I'm singing so that I can do it with more conviction. And honestly, Indian music back then and especially today, I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. And to have the privilege of being a part of the industry in India in 2021 is mind-blowing to me. Like, I'm so glad to be here right now. I'm so glad to be doing this right now.
Correct. Correct. The thing is also that India will or is the fastest growing industries right now, one of the fastest growing industries globally, and by the sheer numbers of by the sheer number of people who are listening to music in India, it is one place where everybody needs to be now, because this is the time. This
Definitely.
is the time for Indian music industry to now take the next leap, which I think it is taking now. It's really getting much better from a musician's point of view.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when you were saying that you started having this interest into coming into Indian music scene as well, I heard last year you did something called you did a song with Universal in their Sterling Reserve Music
Sterling
project
Reserve Music. Yeah, that's right.
by the name called Asar, and
That's correct.
It got a, I mean, it was really appreciated overall and in general. The song is beautiful, and
Thank you.
it is one of the finest which has come out of the project as well. So how did that happen? How did Asar come about?
It's a strange journey that Asar went on from being an idea to becoming a released single. So I moved to India in 2015 and eventually moved to Bombay in 2017. And when I moved to Bombay, I realized that the industry is very different there. It's everywhere, and it's, you know, every second person you're having a coffee next to is a producer or a composer or a singer or a lyricist, or, you know, So it can be a bit daunting in that you might end up wanting to work with people in your enthusiasm, and they're not always the right people to work with. But Asr was one of those situations where something must have been looking out for me, because all of the good pieces fell into place together. I had been pitching a bunch of my songs to a few different labels, and I'll be really honest, at this point in my career, I was very confused about what my sound was as an artist in India. I I was being given a lot of advice from a lot of different places, and I was taking on all of that advice, and I wasn't being massively honest to myself or pushing my own music, because the few times that I had gone to pitch my honest music to record labels, literally in these words, I was told, your songs are nice, but you have to dumb them down. Make your music dumber so that the masses will enjoy it. When you're a musician who prides himself on his intelligence in music, the last thing you want to be told is make your music dumb. So I was really struggling at this point, not knowing who to work with, where to go, any of this stuff. So somebody who was managing me at the time had introduced me to Bharat Goel, who is a Mumbai-based music composer and producer. And he's done a lot of fantastic work in Bollywood. He's, worked with Preetham, and he's worked with many, many big names. And, I learned a lot being in the studio with him also. I learned the skill of turning a track around in 2 or 3 days, like from beginning to end, and doing it well, not a cut and paste job, but really doing that job very, very well. When I was in the studio with him, I realized, oh, damn, I can't spend 4 days recording guitar. I need to get everything done in in a day or two. So we wrote a version of the song, and it had a different name at that time, and the lyrics were different. And we started pitching that track around, and surprisingly, it started to get really good interest. There were a few of the major labels in Bombay that were now putting offers on the table for that song. Some people were even coming to me and saying, okay, we'll take the song off you, but can we change the singer? Somebody actually asked me that, do I mind if Ash King sings my vocal? And I said, yeah, I love Ash King. He's an incredible singer, but I also mind because this is my damn song, man. If you guys like the song so much that you want to sell it and you want to give it to your audiences. So I held on really tightly to that track. Then the next year, I was actually in the middle of pitching this track to a label, and they'd shown strong interest. But at the end of that year, I got some really difficult news that my mom wasn't doing very well back in the UK. Her health wasn't very good. So I stopped the pitching process, and I dropped everything I was doing in India, and I went back to the UK to be with my family, because we realized that the severity of the situation. So I went back and I spent time at home, and unfortunately we did lose my mom after a few months. And by that point, I never wanted to stop doing music, and I never wanted to stop working on these tracks. But I'd been away from home for so long that I felt like I needed to stay back in the UK and be with my father and be with my sister and be with my family for their sake and for mine. But interestingly, in that period, I started, I guess it was for therapy, I started working on new music, and I started producing a few things out there, and I think a lot of the pain that I was feeling came out into that music, even though it's not sad music and it's not painful music. It's very groovy, very happy music. But something in what I was feeling came out in those songs. So when I went back to Bombay eventually, I switched managers. I started working with a new manager who is currently still managing me. When I say currently, I don't mean that I have plans to move on. I just mean that we're still working together. I told him that, I'm looking to work with some... I hope so. Feroz, I hope you're paying attention. And I told him that I needed to find good lyricists in Bombay, because I now had this new body of work that I wanted to work on. And instantly he knew who he wanted to connect me with. So he set up a meeting for myself and somebody who has now become I would call my brother as a lyricist, Siddhant Kaushal. You can see his smiley face there right now in
Of
the
course.
comments.
Hi,
Yeah,
Siddharth.
Siddhant. Siddhant Kaushal and I met with Feroz present, and we just talked about music and just had a casual conversation. And within a few weeks, he was at my place and we were working together. He picked out some of the songs that he likes. One thing I like about Siddhant is that he's very, very honest about what he wants to work on. If he hears something and he feels like there's legs in that track or that there's potential there, that will entice him to work on it. But if he also hears something that he knows is a bit experimental and may not get picked up by a label, but it really gets his creative juices flowing, he'll still choose to work on the track, even if there's no assurity of where this song could go. So anyway, it had been nearly 2 years since we'd started working on Asar, and at this point, I spoke to Sid and said, "Listen, man, like there's this song that Bharat and I have been working on, and we stopped pitching it in the middle because everything that happened in my life. Listening to the song now, I think it needs new lyrics, and now you know me on a personal level." My friends, my family, like maybe you can come and rewrite this song lyrically in a way that really sounds like it's coming from me, in a way that's really honest to what my personality is as an artist. So we got back into the studio with Bharat. It was myself, Sid, and Bharat, and by the end of the day, we'd figured out this new concept. We spent a long time talking about what the lyrical content meant to each of us individually. And by the end of the day, the song was written, and we're really excited about it. We wanted to start pitching it. And then in 2020, in February, March, I had this whole plan that I was going to start at the north of India and meet Speed Records, White Hill Music, Sony North. Then I was going to come back to Bombay and meet Sony National. I was going to meet Universal. I was going to meet Viral. I was going to meet all of these guys and pitch these 7-8 songs that I'd been working on, including Asar. And all of those meetings were lined up. Everybody was ready to meet me. I was feeling good about. And then towards the end of March 2020, the world locked its doors to everything. And all of my plans of pitching just stopped. So that's the second time that song Asar was stopped in its tracks. That we were supposed to go and do things with it, and nothing happened. So I was feeling frustrated. I caught a flight back to the UK in April, and now I was really starting to think, maybe no one's going to pick up my music. Maybe it's not going to work. Maybe it's time I hang up my microphone and just like go back to doing a corporate job with my dad. And then Feroz messaged me and said, "Bro, have you heard that Universal Music have tied up with the Sterling Reserve Music Project again? They're looking for tracks to put out." And I was a bit skeptical because I was like, a competition. I don't know if that's the best way to like enter the market as a solo musician, because I have been a part of the industry as a band member, as a singer in Swami, but that was nearly like 7-8 years ago now. So this is a re-emergence, and I wasn't sure if that was the right way to go. But then we decided to go for it, and I pitched the song Asar on a Zoom call. And on that Zoom call was Devraj, who is the MD of Universal. And anybody who's ever followed his page or who has heard him speaking or has met this guy knows that he's a really, really dynamic character. Firework of a human being. And in that audition that I was doing, or in that, I suppose you would call it an audition, he really blew me up. He said that he loved it, and he called me the next day and told me that he wanted to give me creative control over most of the stuff that was going to happen in the track. Unlike the usual experience that you have of working with a label where it's, change this line, change that melody, blah, blah. Nothing like that. All he told me was he literally just told me, set it on file. Whatever it is you do, that's you. Do that on this track. And we're really excited to put it out there. So now I'm living in the UK. Siddhant and Bharat are both in Bombay, living in separate parts of the country. We're locked down. We have to suddenly write the second half of the song And again, like, thank God for Zoom technology and, all this stuff. We got to do this. We had to match up all of our time zones and jammed on the track and wrote the second half of the song. And within a couple of days, it was approved by SRMP and by Universal. And that was it. They took the song. They gave me full control over the music video that I shot. They gave me a lot of assistance and support in that as well, though. They had a whole team of amazing people from there in Bombay and Chandigarh who were giving us their help and giving us their advice, but they weren't bulldozing any of our ideas. So for me, I'm always really thankful that while lockdown was extremely difficult for a large number of people, there was loneliness, there was depression, there was isolation, there was, boredom from lack of work. There were extremely terrible things happening to people on the planet during that time, and I never forget to count my blessings that, not only was I with my family, not only did I have a roof over my head and food on my table, but now I was being given an opportunity by one of the biggest record labels in the world to release my debut single in India. So, that's how Asar eventually came to be.
So 2020 turned out lucky for you, actually.
Yeah, in a strange way. In a strange way, it did. Lots of good things happened to me in 2020. So, yeah.
So while you were speaking, I also saw there's Preeti here. Just had sent some message for you. Preeti Nair from Universal.
More power to you, Preeti. The Universal team actually have been incredible in that sense. Even though we were only working together for the one single, most of the team that I was working with at that time have stayed in touch, and they've offered me help and support whenever I've needed it. If I just wanted feedback on things that I was working on, they were helping me with that. I mean, let's be really honest, even in terms of this interview, like, it was Tanya who contacted me from Universal and said, listen, MusiCulture have featured you before. I really think it would be great for you to have a chat with these guys. And I know MusiCulture, I've seen how much you guys push independent music, and I follow your pages. So, but just the fact that connection came, and we stopped working with each other 6-8 months ago, and they're still like keeping an eye out for me. So I really, really appreciate that experience that I've had. And I'm going to be cheeky and tell Universal that I have a single coming out in a couple of weeks, and you guys weren't too sure about it. You're going to hear it and you're going to wish you took it. So once that single comes out, be in touch, because I've got more fire to give to you guys. I think we were seeing other people in between, but I'm ready to go back to a relationship with you guys after this.
That's nice. Good way to send the message across.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was Asar. So I've also, in the beginning, you told me that you've been working on some of the projects very recently also, and you just shared also there's something more coming out. So tell us more about it. What exactly should we expect from you in the coming times?
So I like I mentioned, I'm a big follower of Indian independent music. Having been born and raised in the UK, we didn't get to hear much of the independent stuff that was happening in India. It was either Bollywood, or it was Punjabi, or it was devotional. That's really all that we got in the UK. But after I moved here, and I lived in Delhi for a couple of years, I realized that the musicianship in this country is phenomenal. There are musicians who are working so passionately on sounds that are maybe not mainstream, but they are absolutely incredible. And I wish that more people would get to hear these people. And one of the artists that I'm talking about is a singer. She's currently based in Mumbai, I think. Her name is Kamakshi Khanna, and I'm guessing that you guys have covered her and worked with her. She released a single last year called Kareeb, and you know how much I love R&B now, and that was a really stripped down R&B track. And I remember hearing it and just thinking, this is what I'm talking about, man. Like, I want more music like this. I don't just want to make music like that. I want to hear more music like this. And I loved the track so much that I became a bit of a geek. I went into all the credits. I found out who produced it and who all these people were. And I reached out to the producers, who are two very young and very talented guys by the names of Anhad and Tanner. Anhad is Delhi-based and Tanner is based in, I'm sorry if I get this wrong, either North or South Carolina. He's either North or South, but he's there somewhere. Yeah, and I had a chat with these guys, and I told them that I've done this song Asar, and I love it, and it's great, and it has this commercial vibe and stuff, but it's still not really who I am. And I've got this library of demos that I've been sitting on, and I don't know if they're mainstream enough. I don't know if they're commercial enough, but I'd love for you guys to have a listen to them and see what you think you can do with them. So I sent them a few demos, and one of the songs, which I've been told I'm not allowed to give the name to yet, one of the songs, they picked it up and they said, oh, hey, we like this track. Can we work on this one? So I left them alone for a week. They got back to me and shared a version of it with me, and I'm not joking, like I could have fainted when I heard the track. It's so rare that a music producer and an artist can understand one another so well that on the first try, the thing they come back with, is gold. I'm so used to irritating the people that I work with because I'm very controlling, and I know this about myself, and I don't care. It's who I am. I like to be involved in everything. I like to direct everything. I like to say that I don't like this synth sound. The timing of this bass line isn't good. I will always have something to change. But when these guys sent this track back to me, I actually had to call them and tell them that this is the most I feel like any music producer that I've ever worked with has understood me, understood my history, my sound, my vibe, my trajectory, where I want to go. And I sent the demo to my manager, Feroz, he's quite selective with his feedback. Doesn't always, unless he really loves something, he doesn't say much about it. But the second he got the demo, he called me and was like, bro, we've got to pitch this. I know where to pitch this track. I know who we have to give it to. This is amazing. This is fire. Like he was loving and I think everybody knew from the second they heard it for the first time that, okay, this is different. Like, it doesn't sound like Asar, but it also doesn't sound like anything else that we have heard in the independent music scene. But there is a familiarity to it. There is an international production to it, an international production level to it, which is natural because, again, it's being created by somebody who was born in the UK, somebody who lives in the States, and somebody who was born in Delhi. All of us have put our minds together and our hearts together and seen where our tastes overlap. And now there's this new sound and this new song coming. And honestly, like, I have never been more excited than I am right now, like, to release music. I've never been more excited than I am right now. I'm telling everybody, like, if you're listening and you loved Asar, thank you so much. But please don't expect a repeat of that in my next single. You're going to get to the more nitty-gritty, dirty R&B version of Sur in this track, and I'm really happy that it's coming out.
When is it coming out? If you can share the details.
I think it's coming out in the first half of May. I currently don't know because it's when I talk about it being a fresh project, we literally just finished shooting the music video, and that was an amazing experience. The song is still being mixed. Yeah, we shot the music video. That was also a fantastic experience. It's all been really humbling, actually.
I'll tell you why I was asking about whether you shot the video or not, because we had a very interesting recommendation coming in. One of the comments is, when will we see your gorgeous wife in the video with you? That's why I was a bit curious whether you've shot the video or you're still not shot it. Priya,
so my wife
is there.
Yeah. I love you, Priya. Thank you for bringing that suggestion in. I would love for my wife to show her face on screen. It's a matter of fact that she is stunning. That's not just, like my rose-colored glasses talking. Outwardly, she's absolutely gorgeous, but inside, she's an absolute gem as well. She's entertaining and she's funny and she's all of those things. So she ticks all the boxes for somebody who should be on screen, except she just doesn't want it. When we knew that we were sorry man, I haven't slept for 2 days. When we knew that we were shooting this music video, everyone who knew us started reaching out to her and saying, you're going to be the model in the video. Her parents were saying it, my dad was saying it, her friends were saying it, to the point where she couldn't handle it anymore. She started arguing with people saying, I'm not going to be in this music video, let him do his thing, leave him alone. He's the entertainer, he's the musician, I don't like to do any of that stuff. My plan one day is to get her in one of these music videos, but I think we have to build up our confidence for that right now. But yeah, she was actually on set because she's a professional makeup artist. She's also an interior designer, and she's also a bag of educated opinions. And she came on set to be sort of like my bulletproof vest in those days, because I think she knew that I'm a bit of a control freak, and I can unknowingly and unwantingly step on people's toes when I'm working with them, because I'll get really precious about certain ideas, or I may talk a little too passionately with people, and my intention is not to upset them, but it can happen. So the great thing is that she was on set, and when she realized that certain things were not going a way that I wanted, or that they weren't happening the way that I had envisioned them, she was that really good bridge between myself and the team, and she would sort of express my ideas in a more diplomatic or tactful way. And I think female energy can do that anyway. Like, women just have that power anyway to calm a situation, and just talk more sense sometimes. But yeah, having said that, it's not like she had to do this a lot on the set, because the people that we worked with were amazing. Like, again, Asar was the highlight of my 2020, minus getting married. Like, I got married last year also, but that's a personal life highlight. Career highlight last year was Asar happening, being shot and being released, and so far this year the highlight has been shooting this video. Amazing team, amazing people, just brilliant vibes all around, and it was a great thing.
Wow, this sounds amazing. I mean, one thing I can surely say that you are a very passionate person, yeah, because everything you talk about it's very real, honest, and very passionately spoken about. And it's amazing that I think that's the beauty of a true musician also, because unless and until you are passionate and you are true, your music is not going to come out as real as it should be, and as
yeah, I agree.
As it should be. So anyway, so from music perspective, and from your experiences perspective, when you came to India and you met, like you said, you met a lot of people, right? And you met a lot of people. Everybody was either a producer or a lyricist or a composer or something. Yeah. So were there some experiences that you would want to share that were not really interesting, not really, didn't go right the right way for you, and in the process made you realize that this is not something I should be doing?
Are you talking about music? Are you talking about music experiences, or just like life experiences? What are we asking about here?
I think life experiences would be more interesting.
Sorry. India has been really eye-opening for me. A lot of things happened when I first moved to Delhi. I got to work with some amazing people, but unfortunately those projects didn't work out. But in working with those people, I got to meet some of the more eccentric personalities in India from, mostly they were artists, whether we're talking about photographers or cinematographers or models or, actors or anybody. It was always people that came from creative fields that I was spending my time with. And I realized that, sometimes you watch an Indian movie and you think that they're going over the top. Sometimes you think, no, people don't really think like that. People don't really talk like that. People don't really behave like that. But then you come to India and you realize that, oh man, like there are some really, really interesting characters in this country. Really interesting characters. I think it would be wise of me to not share too many of my life experiences after moving to India because my wife and her parents are also watching this live, and so are some of her brothers and people like that. That's not to say that it was anything like that. I just think it's better
Like
that
what?
it's all things that they know, but I just think it's better that I something should stay private. But I think I don't mind sharing an experience that I had when I moved to Mumbai, which was I started working with a Bollywood artist who's really, really well known, very, very well known Bollywood artist, and I really hope that this doesn't damage my career in the future by talking about this. Well, I won't
You're
give
not
any
telling
names.
anybody anyway.
I won't give any names. But that artist's manager, for a little while, was also helping me out. And he asked me that, oh, hey, like I like some of the stuff that you're producing. I like your production. Can you come and do some work with my artist? And to me, it seemed like a really good opportunity. I loved his artist. I thought the voice was fantastic. His body of work was amazing. And to me, it was like another step up. I thought, well, why not? Let's do this. So I went into the room, and it's a very small studio, and there was a lot of smoke in the air, and that smoke was sort of making you work at a very different pace, and you were passively becoming very you'd start making music, but your energy was really like dipping to this kind of vibe. And I think you understand what I'm trying to say, like what kind of environment that recording process. So I enjoyed it because I thought, okay, it's nice to know that people in this side of the world also sometimes take inspiration from Mother Earth, and I've also at times taken the same inspiration, so why not? But there was one particular experience where there was a massive clash of egos, and it took me really understanding myself and really growing up in this moment as a musician in the industry. We'd started working on this idea. We started working on this song, and I took my laptop and the files back home with me, and I worked on this track for about 3-4 days nonstop, and loved the way that it was turning out. They loved the way that it was turning out, and now there was discussions about which labels are going to pitch it to and how big the song will get. And one of these sessions when we're back in their studio and everybody again is riding a certain wave and feeling a bit like out of it. The artist gave me a suggestion that, the guitar part that you've played here, can you move that to this section of the song? I was like, great, let's give it a try. We moved it, and it turned out to be a brilliant suggestion. Like it took that section of the song to a whole new level. But the note that he was singing at that time was now clashing with this new guitar part. So what I had said to him was that, bro, this is a fantastic idea. Let's keep it as it is for now. But when I get some time, I'll try to figure out alternative guitar parts that don't make your voice sound like it's clashing right now. So I was not telling this artist that your voice doesn't work. I was accepting that the guitar that I've played is not working here with your voice. Let me get a bit of private time and change this. A few days later, the manager messaged me and said, bro, you've really upset my artist. He feels like you've insulted his musical integrity, or you've insulted his musical knowledge. He feels that you're saying he doesn't know enough about music. Please write him a message and apologize to him, and then we can carry on working on the track. I had a big decision to make in that moment, that okay, I'm working with somebody who is, doesn't have his foot in the door. He's sitting comfortably in the room, like reclining on a sofa. This guy is killing it right now in the industry. And if I apologize to him for something that I didn't do wrong, I'm most possibly going to have a quicker progression in my career. But now I'm always going to be like, being stepped on like this. And another side of me was effing and blinding, like, who the hell are you to have your ego hurt by a musical suggestion? I've worked with this producer called DJ Swami, Diamond Dugal. He was the producer of the band Swami. When he was younger, he worked for Shania Twain and Mutt Lang and all these massive artists. So when I started working with him, I was 18 and he was in his 30s. And I remember, even though he was this huge music producer who had all this experience, I could come to that studio and honestly give suggestions and say, oh, hey, I think we can try this and we can do that. And all of those suggestions were at least heard, even if they weren't all used. So I'm used to music being a collaborative experience. I'm used to music being an idea of, let's all help each other to make the song better. This was the first time in my life I had ever seen an ego bruised that quickly and that easily. And I made the decision in that moment to sort of, wash my hands of that project. And I told the manager that I wasn't going to be apologizing and I didn't do anything wrong. And, thanks for the experience, but it's not going to be happening. And I remember freaking out for a couple of weeks after that. Did I do the right thing or did I do the wrong thing? Should I have apologized? But by the end of it, my wife, who was my girlfriend at that time, she just kept on telling me, man, you don't want to be anybody's doormat. Like, screw them. If they don't see what they had, let it be. And I think these are the experiences that I found living in India, that your company is so important, especially in our industry. In this industry, it's so easy to have people get inside your head, and it's so easy for situations to mess with you and with your understanding. And the minute you have the right people around you who are, I'm not saying, just stroking your wounds and things like that, or licking your wounds, but people who are genuinely trying to help keep you in a good mental space and in a good headspace, it's really important to have that kind of company. And I feel like that's one of my biggest learnings from being in India and from the people I was fortunate enough to meet.
I think this industry has a mix of people. There are good people, there are not so good people. It's just about when you have the company of good people, you'll find more good people around you because they are in company of good people. Furthermore, good people.
Definitely.
Right? It's just a circle you got to be in, and that's what makes the difference. Once you get into a circle which is really what should I say, not so positive, it attracts this similar mindset people, and that's
absolutely. I completely agree.
Yeah. So anyway, look, we are almost reaching an hour's of conversation, and it's been amazing how time went by today, and it was interesting to hear you out completely. Fortunately, for a change, I didn't have to speak much, and that's amazing.
Sorry, man. I'm going to be very honest. I'll be honest with you. Last night, my wife and I had a really long conversation about how much she talks and how much I talk. And we were arguing with each other that, no, you're the one who speaks more. No, you're the one who speaks more. And I think you have just given her some armor here by saying that you didn't have to speak so much because I was talking so much. So cheers for that.
I'm happy for that. It's sometimes it's overbearing to carry on conversation, and somebody is there, taking conversation on his own or her own. It's really interesting. Then you got to just listen and just pick up from there. So it makes my job a bit easier. So so that's that. Anyway, so we would like to wind it up for today, and it has been really interesting talking to you. I think Kashnim is your wife's name.
Yeah, Kashni. Yeah. Kashni M. Suri.
Kashni. Hi, Kashni. Thanks. I mean, always there to reinstate your beliefs. No worries. So anyway, it's been interesting. So amazing that we could figure out some time and speak with you. So much to know about you, and we would really be looking forward to your new music which comes up from your end.
Thank you so much.
Already from the sound of it looks exciting anyway. So we will keep a tab, and we do let us know also offline of what you're working on, what's happening, so that we can also try to put it onto us.
Definitely, I really appreciate what you guys are doing for the independent music scene. I think we need more like this for non-Bollywood and non-commercial music. We need more of these outlets and platforms where people can actually get out there and share the talent that they have. For the people who managed to listen to me talking for the whole hour, I would request all of you keep an eye on what's going on, because I feel very strongly about this new music that's coming out. I believe that you'll all love it very much, and for sure we will speak again once the single is out.
Thank you so for joining us today. It was really amazing. Have a great evening, and for everybody who
And
came on the live chat to hear us out on Sunday night. It's really
oh,
a
sorry. I just want to say happy birthday to my dad as well. It's his birthday today, and he's in the UK.
to your
It's the
dad.
18th of
Happy
April.
birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday to my dad. I can't believe that nearly slipped my mind. So yeah, if you're watching, Pops, happy birthday to you.
Happy
Thank
birthday to
you.
you, from our end as well.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. Take care. Have a great
Thank you
evening.
so much.
Bye.
And you. See you again. Bye.